Y'all, what the hell did I just watch?
Heya, welcome to DAYDAY'S, a channel where you basically watch me draw and talk about fandom/storytelling things. So today I'm going to talk about Invincible, the holy flip superhero show on Amazon Prime that will blow your flippin' minds. Like, I swear. But here's how I ended up stumbling upon it. I was out here minding my own business, scrolling through Amazon Video, as you do, when all of a sudden I see the thumbnail for the show Invincible. And it was like an interesting little thumbnail, but it wasn't something that I was kind of like interested in watching at the time, because usually I like to refer back to like my comfort TV shows that I can like binge all over again. The Office. So I wasn't really into watching it, but then a friend of mine was like, yo, have you seen this show on Amazon? And I was like, no. He's like, you have to watch it. So he like puts on the first episode and I'm like, all right, let's watch the first episode. And you know, I was watching it and it was a little not as exciting as I thought it would be in the very beginning, or at least like in the first 10 minutes of the show. And boy, did it really just pick up and turn into an avalanche that ended up decimating an entire village, because wow. So warning, there will be a little bit of spoilers up ahead, because I do talk back and forth throughout the entire show and bring up certain references to certain things. And if you haven't watched the Invincible show, then I recommend you click off this video just so you're not spoiled for anything. Of course, if you don't care, feel free to keep watching. All is good. So yeah, this show, wow. It's unlike anything I've ever seen from either DC or Marvel. Like, the comics for DC and Marvel are like really dark already. There are some dark ass shit in there that you would be so surprised that people would be willing to illustrate. But Invincible, like, it takes the entire cake away. Their interpretation of like the superhero genre is kind of like a bit of a parody from like the DC and Marvel, at the same time making its own little twist on it, which is very, very interesting and kind of refreshing despite it being so explicit. And the reason I mentioned that it's a bit of a parody is because Mark Stad, which is like Omni-Man, as soon as I saw him and then as soon as I continued to watch him throughout the series, I realized he was supposed to be some sort of like parody version of Superman, a sort of what if Superman had actually been evil and, you know, not a goody two-shoes, hell-bent on saving the world because of humanity's, I don't know, potential for goodness or goodness in itself. I don't know. So that was kind of like a very interesting take, which is also the reason why it made this show really dark, aside from the explicit violence. Like, I'm all for some violence in any genre of anything that I go into, you know, because I do like action scenes and stuff like that. But this went on to a whole nother level that left me completely speechless. Like, by the time the first episode ended, my friend was laughing their ass off because of my horrified expression. Like, oh my god, I was so completely horrified. And then just like the last 15 minutes of the first episode was when I knew how the tone of this entire series was going to be, and I was not disappointed. I hope I would have been disappointed, but I was not. My expectations were not let down in the slightest, because that opening, oh my god, that opening was basically that opening was all that in the kitchen sink. And what I will also say is that I actually adore the main character for Invincible. I thought Mark Grayson was the cutest thing to ever accidentally land in my lap. Oh my god. And it could partially be because his last name Grayson is also Dick Grayson's last name. You know, Dick Grayson, Robin, the OG Robin from Batman, the one who ends up turning into Nightwing. Yeah, he is like my precious baby boy. He is everything to me. So the fact that Mark Grayson also had that similarity to Dick Grayson made me so, I don't know, it just made me melt inside. And I was so appreciative of that. Although whenever I see Mark getting the shit kicked out of him, it like tears me inside, because I don't ever want Mark to ever suffer, because he's actually such a really, really nice boy. Like, he is a flawed character. He has got so many good qualities, but at the same time, he's got so many bad qualities, which is normal in a teenage boy, because Mark is the teenage boy who goes to high school, who's like figuring out his powers and just basically growing up. So the fact that you get to see some of those flaws, like the way he treats Amber, it's a good balance for him, because you can definitely expect that he will be growing more throughout the series to become a better type of superhero and like a better person as well overall. So yeah, Mark, I adore Mark. I love his character. I think he's the cutest thing ever. So the fact that they confirmed for Mark that he is Korean is like amazing to me, because I love seeing my people of color represented in media, whether they're Asian, whether they're Black, whether they're Native American, whether they're Hispanic, or any other color in between. I am all for that shit. So yeah, fantastic. Although I will say technically he's like half Korean because his dad is like Viltrumite, and Viltrumite's kind of like an alien species, but for his racial coding, it's definitely Caucasian. So Mark would technically be half Korean, but that's fine. Now let me talk about Debbie. Oh my God, Debbie, sweet mama, I'm so sorry that ugly ass bitch over here, Nolan, disrespected you like that. Ooh. Okay, so when I saw Debbie, I also completely adored her characterization because she was a very real, down-to-earth type of mother figure who was actually present. And like a lot of things that they do for like the superhero genre when it comes to like parents, they're fucking dead. Like, the parents are dead, the mother is non-existent, or she's basically useless in the grand scheme of things, which is kind of saddening to me because it kind of brings in the spotlight that in order for you to be a hero or to have that sort of hero journey, you have to sever ties with your parents and you have to like just not have them in your life. And I thought that was kind of so sad because like you can be a hero and have a family and have all those important bonds. You don't have to be like the next Sasuke to be a superhero or a supervillain. Like, let's be real. So yeah, the more I saw Debbie interact, and I loved her character design. Oh my God, when I saw her, I was like, yes, let's get some representation in there. And she was so level-headed, and I love those types of characters. Yo, she was like a low-key badass, and I respect that about her a lot. So I was having fun with Debbie. And so by the end of the series, when Debbie was treated the way she was treated, my heart fucking broke for her. It broke for both Mark and her, because this was just not fun at all, what was going on. Although I will say this, when Nolan called her a pet, that she was only a pet, I legit was convinced that was exactly how he felt for all of maybe 10 seconds, because as the fight kept going on, you got to see sides of Nolan that was actually very conflicted with what he was doing and what he was actually, how he was actually treating his family. Like, I'm sure that's what he tells himself that he feels, but in actuality, the amount of years that he's actually spent with his family, with Debbie, with Mark, it had to have evolved, and he actually does care about his family. At least that's what I theorize. Like, he genuinely cares about his family. I think right now what's going on is because he's had to convince himself that that's not the case. Those kind of feelings crept up on him, and now he has to actually confront the truth of how he actually feels, which is why his bitch ass ended up running away after like a fucking beating Mark into a pulp. So it does break my heart to see like Debbie heartbroken like that. I honestly don't know how her feelings will swing in this direction, because she has every right to fucking dump Nolan in his ass, but you know she loves Nolan a lot. Like, that was her man. She was willing to stand by him while he had his superhero like commitments and stuff like that, and that apparently takes a toll on people, according to her Russian friend Olga, who was the significant other of the fast guy who ended up getting murdered in like the first episode. So like, yeah, that takes its toll on people, and it's not an easy job. And then of course she had Mark, so that really just bonds them a little bit more as well. And yeah, I'm gonna see what happens. Like, I personally hope that there is a reconciliation between Debbie and Nolan. Of course, Nolan has to get down on his knees and beg and like make it up to her for the next thousands of years, but I kind of want them to be together, you know, all things considered. Of course, I don't condone the violence that he conducted upon Mark, and I don't condone the emotional abuse that he also conducted upon Debbie as well, just to make that perfectly clear. So Debbie, love, I am rooting for you, and Mark 100% all the way. Now, another character that I actually wanted to mention was my homegirl Amber Bennett. So I don't know if any of you guys are aware, except for like the ones that are like into the fandom and keep up with this type of stuff. My homegirl over here has gotten so much flipping hate, and I could kind of understand where the hate is coming from, but I also feel like it's really unwarranted. Like, people are so quick to hate on a character if they act like bitchy for like a couple of episodes, and it's so sad because you just end up relegating them to that box, and there's so much more you could do with that character, but they refuse to give that character a shot because they find that character stupid or annoying, or they completely just throw them into like the hate wagon, and that's all they're gonna see them as, just a hateful character. The same thing happened to Ahsoka in the beginning when she was first introduced into the Star Wars universe. People fucking hated her because they found her annoying, even though she was fucking 14, which her attitude was understandable. But that's another video for another time, which, trust me, I have it typed out, so I am ready to talk about that shit in another video. But yeah, and then the same thing happened to Sakura Haruno from Naruto, which, trust me, I'm gonna talk about that in another video, because I will die for my Sakura. Like, I am a ride or die for that character. But yeah, that's another video. And now the same thing is happening to Amber Bennett. So here's what I have to say about that. People need to calm the fuck down. The reason Amber was on the defensive and basically challenging Mark was because she did not appreciate being lied to and the miscommunication that Mark was exhibiting. Just because you get into a relationship with someone doesn't allow you the right to treat them in such an offhand manner, to basically lie about certain actions that you do and miscommunicate and just be very wishy-washy. That comes across as the person not being committed to the relationship. So the way I'm looking at all of this since Mark began going out with Amber was that they wanted to pursue a relationship and see how that went. So usually when that happens, there needs to be two in this relationship as opposed to one. Mark in the beginning was very, how should I put this? Like, the beginning of the relationship was cute because they were getting to know each other and stuff like that. But just getting to know each other is not what makes a relationship. That's what makes friendship. Now, they had decided to go out, which means they would actually get a little more closer intimately, not only physically, but like just, you know, talk about their lives and stuff like that and sort of have that type of connection. And Mark, while he was down for it, he wasn't being consistent about the way he was going about it. Like, in the beginning, obviously you could see that he was really into it. He wanted to commit and do all that good stuff, but because of his superhero obligation, he just wasn't balancing his personal life and his superhero life the way it should be. Or if he was gonna commit to the superhero life the way he thought he was gonna be doing, then he should have come clean and been honest to Amber. Now, I can understand on one side not wanting to like expose your partner to like the very dangerous lifestyle that is superhero work, but because you decided to be with this person, they're gonna have to be involved in your life at some point or another, specifically the superhero life. But because Amber had no idea what Mark was doing in the beginning, she was like obviously very confused and very pissed and thought he was like jerking her around and not being serious about their feelings and just, you know, the entire relationship. So the fact that she was acting like very upset, mad, not wanting to deal with Mark and his wishy-washiness, I could get that from her. And I guess that rubbed people, I guess, the wrong way because they expected her to be like there waiting for him, like Mary Jane waited for Spider-Man, which Mary Jane didn't even wait for Spider-Man in some instances either. She was like, nah, you need to get your shit together or I'm like leaving. It's called communication, trust, and openness. On one hand, I get, you know, keeping that identity a secret, but if you're going to be in a relationship with that person and you're actually serious, then you need to come clean. Otherwise, break it off and you guys can, you know, be as friends. And Amber was right to put her foot down. She didn't like the lying and the miscommunication and Mark's inability to balance his superhero life and his personal one. Like, he missed those important milestones and couldn't even communicate that he was going to be unavailable for whatever reason. He just didn't show up. He just didn't send a message. He just literally didn't do any of that stuff to at least let her know, hey, not going to be able to make it. Like, a quick text was all you really needed. And of course, eventually he was going to have to explain why he kept missing out on those important milestones that would make or break a relationship, because you can only keep someone in the dark for so long. But for this instance, he could have like communicated a little bit more, but he didn't do that. And that's why Amber was kind of pissed at him and like ready to break up with him because he was not giving her any signs of being serious about the relationship. Even Eve told Mark that he should let Amber know about his superhero side, because if he's serious about her, then he needs to let her know. And he seems like he took that advice, but then he ended up not telling Amber, which was exactly the wrong thing for him to do. And thus the eventual fuck ups happened that led to their breakup. Mark cannot have his cake and eat it too. That's just not how it works. And I like that Amber calls him out on his bullshit. Like, it makes her seem like a real person and not like some sort of doormat who's willing to swallow any. Because that's exactly how Debbie is as well. Debbie is not someone that'll let Nolan take advantage of her, even though Nolan has the advantage by physical strength. Debbie stands up for herself. Debbie stands up to Mark as well when he was being a little pissant in the beginning. Like, my Debbie, she will tell you what it is straight up to your face. And I love that about her. And I love that about Amber as well. I like that Amber does not get taken advantage of here. Sure, she can come across as kind of a bitch, but women who usually don't deal with bullshit and are blunt get labeled as such. And I think that's so sad. There's just a fear that a certain group of people have when it comes to like no-nonsense women. And it's sad because seeing a woman actually stand up for herself and not deal with anybody's like BS yes is the most glorious thing I could ever see. Also, low-key, I'm just gonna blurt this out, but I actually much prefer a Mark and Amber type relationship because I feel like it's both a give and a take. It's one that'll allow them to both grow, specifically Mark. I like that their relationship is the type that they can grow together. You know, they can learn from each other. They can inspire each other because Amber actually inspires Mark to think about more about his future and what he actually wants to do and to actually incorporate some of those very altruistic values that Amber actually has for her community, because she is the type to actually like help out, think about others. She's a very justice type, and having that sort of influence on Mark is actually really good, especially with the complete shit that's about to happen to him in the future. That is actually really good for Mark, I think. Plus they're kind of cute together, they have fun, and when Mark is in his little mood, like, Amber's not gonna take that lying down. Like, she actually holds him accountable for his actions, and I just think that's dope. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like Adam Eve. I like her. As soon as I saw her character, I thought she was like, oh, she's cute. But then I was like, I see where this is going, because you guys have to see where this is going if you've watched the show, or I guess if you've read the comic. But if you've watched the show, you're like, oh, this girl's probably going to be endgame. Which kind of makes me sad because I'm all up for my girls of color being represented more as actual love interests. But, you know, you don't see that too much. And then you have, like, the beautiful redhead over here. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But honestly, I much prefer Amber. I still like Eve's outfit, though. I thought that was pretty great. Like, I love the pink. Like, if anybody knows me, they will know that I adore the color pink and all of its shades, except for, like, the really annoying hot pink. But yeah, love pink. Oh my god, and I love her character growth. Seeing a little bit more of Eve and how she grows up and how she recovers from her breakup with Rex, who, by the way, is a fucking two-faced ass bitch, along with Kate, by the way. Some people will ignore it, but I will say it. Kate and Rex are two-faced. Also, Monster Girl. Oh my god, I love Monster Girl. I could die for Monster Girl. I was not expecting to like her so much. I really appreciate Monster Girl's character, because technically she's an adult and unfortunately a young child's body, because like her age regresses the more she uses her powers. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for her, but I love her character. And the fact that Robot did, I forgot what his name was, but I call him Robot. The fact that Robot did all that he did for Monster Girl, it makes my shipper heart beat really fast. But that's for another time. Also, minor thought, but I like how they're expanding to add more representation by making Amber black and actually confirming legit that Mark is Korean, even though he's technically like half Korean. But yeah, I really appreciate that. So yeah, apparently in the comics, Amber was white, and that was like fine. Like, I didn't really care. But when they made her black, I was like, whoa, this is different. So when I read about it in the interview, I was like, okay, so they actually realized that the world is a little more open but the world is larger than what they had previously considered in their own social sphere when they were making their comics. And I thought that was pretty cool. Although it kind of does low-key concern me, because it seems like the people of color in that show are just not having the greatest luck right now. Like, the one black Batman that we had fucking died in the first episode, and very brutally too. And then the way they tried to make Amber stand up for herself and not take any of Marx's bullshit, I don't know, it came across as like very bitchy, which I will admit again, which of course rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And so now there's like a huge ass hate train for her, and so that's not fun, because now you have Amber over here having the hate, black Batman dead, and then the only other person of color that I remember aside from Mark and Kate would be Rex, and Rex is a two-faced cheating liar, so that's already not cool. And then of course Kate is also a cheater who's also two-faced, so that already is not cool. So all you really have is just Mark and Debbie that I remember off the top of my head. If anybody else remembers any more people of color in that show, please let me know in the comments so that I can remember that. But yeah, there's already like nobody there, and that's like totally unfair, and it makes me sad. I'm not trying to look into it too deeply, but it's something that's like glaringly there. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the Invincible show. But actually, before I conclude this video, I do want to mention one other thing that I ended up discovering about Invincible, specifically the comic, that like makes me so scared. Trigger warning, there will be mentions of sexual content and abuse up ahead, so if you're not into that, you guys can click away from this video now. Alright, so here I go. So when I heard that Mark was actually raped in the comic, my chest felt so heavy, and I just couldn't get it out of my head for days. Like, even to this day, I still think about it, and it makes me feel so, it gives me chills. I kind of feel numb about it. Like, I feel like low-key sick when I think about it, because oof, when it comes to rape in general, like, I fucking hate that shit. If there is anything I could have destroyed from this world, well, damn, now I have like 2 things I would like destroyed from this world. But if I had to choose one, it would be rape and also sexualization of minors. That's another thing that I loathe. So like still to this day, it eats at me. I hate having to see anyone go through that experience, and that includes fictional characters. Like, I don't know about other people, but I personally, I hope it's something that Mark does not have to go through with in the show. Like, I know there's like a lot of changes that are happening. They are still sticking to the original source material, but personally, I really, really, really want them to not have Mark raped. That kind of psychological, physical trauma, it like eats at you. And I don't even care whether you're a boy or a girl. And that's something else that one day I'll talk about, but I'm going to mention briefly here that a lot of people seem to disregard when guys get raped. Rape is a fucking heinous crime when it comes to both boys and girls, okay? It's not just the girls that get raped, it's also the guys. And that kind of severity, how you would treat rape when it comes to a girl, also needs to be applied to guys as well. That shit needs to fucking stop, and I hate seeing anybody go through that. I don't know if adding that type of character growth to Mark was what they were trying to go for, but I just really hope it's something that they don't do in the show. Like, there is another way. It might be because of whatever reason that's integral to the plot or character growth or whatever, but I just really hope Mark does not have to go through that. I know some people want to shed light on rape trauma because it is a serious issue, and I'm all for like educating people and making them aware of this type of stuff, and that it'll like help other people also like be able to cope better. But personally, I just really, really, really do not want anyone suffering that way, even fictional characters. I just don't want anyone to have to deal with that type of heaviness in their fictional like content that they consume. Like, in the real world, we already have to deal with that, but like here personally, I really don't want it to happen to Mark. I'm willing to just throw myself on the ground and bow down to the creators to please not do this. But yeah, that was what I was hoping would not happen in the future. So yeah, we'll see. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Invincible. It is a crazy show. It is, quite frankly, a very fascinating show, I will admit as well. There is so much going on in that show, and I actually root for a lot of characters, and it's very interesting. It leaves you on the edge of your seat, I will say that. And it also like gives me a bit of anxiety as well, because I do not like to see any of the people that I like suffer. But knowing this is a very explicitly violent superhero show, I know there will be more suffering and more shocking revelations of things in the future. So, yeah. In conclusion, definitely dreading season 2 of Invincible, because you know when people are gonna die, but it is what it is. I'm still gonna watch it. And at last, we've come to the end of this video. If you guys are interested in watching Invincible, I believe you can watch it on Amazon Prime. I believe it is still up. It's like, what, 9 episodes, I believe? Something like that. I don't know. It's complete, so you guys can binge it if you want. If you're interested in reading the comic, I don't know if that's still available. It probably is. There's like pages of it on the internet, so you can probably like Google that up if you're interested in reading ahead, which I usually do for mangas and TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, that's an option you guys can exercise. So let me know if you guys have any like agreeing thoughts or disagreeing thoughts or anything else you guys want to mention to me in the comments down below. My fan art in this video will be finished and posted on Instagram, DeviantArt, and wherever else. Links will be in the description box below, so check it out if you guys dare. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you're feeling my content, as well as click the bell to get notified whenever I upload my next great thing. So thanks for hearing me out, you guys. I will see you in the next video. Until next time, cheers.